and welcome back to my Astro Imaging Journey channel. As you can see from the title, decisions, advice, and thanks. It's going to be a little bit of a me just doing my thing. So let's reverse that, and first let me say thank you to everybody out there that made suggestions on the camera, or the new camera that I plan on getting. Still haven't purchased it yet. Get into that in a second. That's part of the decisions. And yeah, so thanks to everybody for your wonderful suggestions. You know, I took each and every one of them to heart and evaluated it based on what my needs were and what I'm looking to do. So yeah, great information. Really appreciate everything. So thank you once again. Also, thanks to Ron at Moonlite Autofocusers. Get into that here in a minute as well. But wanted to say thank you. So really appreciate some correspondence I had with him. To the advice, well, the little tidbit I have is just contact whoever you need to contact if you have a question. In particular, just talked about Ron at Moonlite. You know, with looking to go monochrome, and with the camera that I'm going to get, you know, my field of view is just going to be a little bit smaller for what I'm used to with the DSLR. So, you know, framing up those targets is going to be a little bit more crucial. You know, when you have something like the Pinwheel Galaxy, you're looking top down or bottom up, whichever your perspective you choose to look at it as. You know, it's nice, it's big, it's round, fills the frame, or should fill the frame if you got the appropriate sensor size. So orientation you can play with in post. You look at something like the Splinter Galaxy or the Cigar Galaxy, Sombrero Galaxy, you know, they're your edge on. So you're looking at it on a flat plane. And if your sensor size is rectangular, you kind of want it this way to give you room to play with if you want to tilt it or whatever. You don't want to go this way because then you're going to have a little bit, possibly, depending on your sensor again, here and here, and a lot of space on this side. So when you go to rotate it, it's not going to give you as much flexibility in post-processing. So to that end, what do we really want to look at doing with our camera? Do we want to go out there and manually rotate it? No. You know, if we can automate that, it would greatly increase the amount of exposures we can capture because we're not having to stop, make our adjustment, double check everything, and start back up. So to that end, I saw on Moonlite's website that they do offer rotators, and that one of the rotators potentially would work with the autofocuser that I had, but it wasn't listed anywhere for sale. So I just reached out to him, and Ron responded, and again, thank you for our interaction. It was very, very helpful, and he, long story short, the one I was looking for would add too much weight and too much distance into the back focus to work for what I was looking at doing once I got the mono camera. So he made some other recommendations. We'll get into that here in the decisions part. And it all hopefully will work out. So, you know, we all like to sometimes just do our little research and different things, but the interaction I've had when I've had questions where I've reached out, whether it be Celestron, High Point Scientific, Moonlite, whoever the case may be, that's my piece of advice. Just reach out to them. In this particular case, all I did was just fill out the contact us form on their website, and in there I described I have, Celestron EdgeHD 11-inch. I currently have your CHL autofocuser, and I'm running DSLR with the Celestron OAG, and put as much detail as I could about my rig and that part of the imaging train, and then what I'm looking for. And he in turn got back to me and said, well, what you're looking for or what you're asking about isn't going to work, and here's why, and here's what we recommend you go with. And after some back and forth, everything worked out. So yeah, it's my piece of advice. Just reach out if you got a question. A lot of these companies are more than willing to work with you and offer you options, or they might actually say, hey, what you're trying to do, maybe you won't have enough back focus or whatever, and they'll recommend something that might work instead. So yeah, so again, thanks Ron for a great interaction. So yeah, that's it for the advice part of today's video. Now on to decisions. So what decisions did I have to make? Well, clearly one-shot color or mono, and I've opted to go with mono. There's a real big push to get this housing development up and running, and it's been in play for the better part of 10 years, and it's never gone anywhere, but the county and municipalities have put a lot of money into expanding sewer treatment, water, fire hydrants. Whole lot of infrastructure went into what was supposed to be a housing development, and the housing bubble hit just before that, and it never came to fruition. Now you've got all this infrastructure that you're continuing to have to pay for, and no tax base to pay for it. So yeah, there's a big push to get it done. So I'm willing to bet that this time with the new developer, it might just happen. So to that end, the L-Enhance filter with a one-shot color looked real promising, but for reasons I'll get into in the other video, I decided on mono. Again, that's going to be a later video when I'm talking about my decision-making process and how I came up with what I wanted to do. So now that I know I needed mono, what else do I need? Well, I'm going to need filters. Do I want to lock myself into a single filter, one slot each night and capture my targets, or do I want to use a filter wheel? Different aspects of that, and I decided on a filter wheel. And then after that, well, which camera and filter wheel combination do I want? And after some back and forth, I really wanted to go with the higher end ZWO, I believe it's the ASI1600 mono with the 2-inch filter set. However, that would have taken much longer to accumulate the money to get that. We'd probably be into next year. So what really made the difference for me was working with that OAG. yes, I got it working. And if you remember me talking in the first use video, there's not much room for that to travel in and out with the autofocuser. And as it turned, you know, and I was projecting anywhere from 4 to 8, 9 maybe degrees Celsius would be the cap of when I'd be able to move in far enough to still achieve focus and a reliable autofocusing routine. And as it turns out, 7 degrees Celsius was the limit. So once I get above 43, 45 degrees outside, can't achieve focus. And that means summertime, I'm not going to be able to do anything. Here in a couple months, probably not going to be able to do anything. Last weekend, wasn't able to do anything. Last weekend was actually kind of freaky. We had, you know, started the evening, it was around 38 degrees, and normally, wintertime, no clouds, nighttime temperatures drop. Well, they actually increased, and we got up to almost 48 degrees overnight. So once it hit that 7-degree mark, I was watching it. Once it hit to that 7-degree mark, that was the last time it could achieve focus. The rest of the evening could not achieve focus, and it, you know, it did the best it could, but you know, there was just not enough travel inwards because it just kept hitting that housing. So yeah, so that kind of expedited that I needed to, what can I afford now come March, April timeframe, and be able to get back to imaging with the OAG, because I really did like the tracking that the OAG was giving me. So I had to do something. So to that end, I backed off, said what my max budget was, went back into looking at some other options, and you know, everything was coming in under budget because the sensors are smaller and everything else. So what I decided on was the ZWO ASI1600MM Mono. Or excuse me, 1600MM Pro. The MM is mono. So I'll be going with that one, and probably the 8-position filter wheel. I just don't want to have to go through and be changing out filters. 7mm or the 7-position probably would work, but I'm kind of thinking I want the, what is it, hydrogen beta? One that's actually down in the green band. Might want to pick up one of those filters eventually and put it in that 8th position, just because it's something that I'm curious about doing. So I'll probably go with the 8-position filter wheel, and you know, but I was all set to order it, had the money, and then I started looking at the sensor size. Again, upcoming video, and my field of view shrinking. That's going to make field rotation, or rotating the camera to match the target, a lot more crucial. So looked at the rotator, and as it turns out, the rotator, like I said, wasn't going to work. However, Ron Moonlite did recommend their crawler series. Now on their website, they've got the night crawler. It's kind of beefy, bigger, allows you to do autofocusing as well as rotation. But it is too big in the optical train, and wouldn't work for my purposes as an intermediary. However, once I did contact them, they recommended the LiteCrawler, which is, I'm not sure if it's a new product or what the exact deal is, but it's not offered on their website yet. It's only offered via email. So my assumption is it's new product. They're trying to make sure there's a need for it, and trying to get, you know, images and different things, product information before they put it up on their website. That, again, that's my opinion based on the conversation I had with Ron. And so to that end, I was like, that's going to work, but it's a little bit too pricey. Now I'm back to where I was with the original camera I wanted. And, you know, it's like, well, I almost said thanks, but no thanks, but, you know, it's just a little too pricey. And then I reread his email, and he had one nice little line in there. They offer trade-in value on your old equipment. And if I had a second rig that I needed an autofocuser for, I'd just be transferring it over. However, I don't need the CHL if I go with the LiteCrawler. So it's like, sure, what's the trade-in value? You know, what's the whole process? Do I have to send, you know, like in some cases, do you need to send in the old unit, they evaluate it, and then you get a credit towards the purchase of a new one? Or do I purchase the new one at full price and then ship this back, and you give me a credit back like they do with cell phones? You know, no, he said flat out, we've got your order from before. You ordered on this date. We're going to give you this percentage and of the original price, which is X amount of dollars. We'll go ahead and deduct that from the purchase price of the LiteCrawler, and so you'll owe this much when we have it built and ready to ship. And then I can use the same box that the new one would come in to ship the CHL focuser back to them, and everything would be fine. That option worked. That brought me within my expected budget for the spring, and it's what I can afford now. So I've already went ahead and asked them to start building me the LiteCrawler. So yeah, we'll look out for that video coming up after I get it. But at the end of the day, that will allow me to basically do a drop-in, take the CHL out, put this in its place, and continue using my DSLR until roughly probably April-ish, when I have the remaining funds to order the camera and filter set. And based on my testing, I will know if I have the travel to be able to get above that 7-degree autofocusing mark, so that I can extend that out. Because I don't want to put anything on the credit card. I want to pay cash for it. Plain and simple. I want to have the money ahead of time and before I purchase anything. So I'm really stoked to see how this works, so that now I can go back into SGP and start framing my framing some of these targets a little bit better, because I've been kind of locked in. Once the camera was there, I never moved it. So that'll be an interesting little experiment too. Video to come. So yeah, that's where we're at. I got the LiteCrawler from Moonlite coming, and in a month or two, I'll have the ZWO ASI1600MM Pro with more than likely the 8-position filter wheel and filter set coming as well. So again, I want to thanks everyone for their suggestions. Looked at every one that you guys suggested, and just think that based on what I'm looking to do in my setup, that might be the best one that fits within my budget. So yeah, I think that about covers it for this video. So yeah, we should be good to go. I want to thanks everybody for watching. Please stick around for the outro. As always, clear skies. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching yet another episode from the Astro Imaging Journey channel. Really appreciate your viewership. In our upper right, we have the latest video that I have posted prior to this one. Down in the lower right, we have what YouTube thinks you will enjoy. Below is a subscription link. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you so choose, ring that bell if you want to get notified of something new, and as always, thank you, clear skies. Remember to